Oh, the humanity. Boxing is getting increasingly corny. Many people are spreading outright lies, guesses, speculation as to who Gervonta Davis, aka Tank, aka Abdul Wahid, will fight. Now, I posted this. Make sure you guys follow me on X at Boxing Ego. Links are in the description. Hashtag unpopular opinion. Boxing fans are like the Bill Murray movie Groundhog Day. They do the same exact things over and over in an infinite cycle. A couple years ago, they said Tank Davis's next fight was Abner Mares, and it wasn't, LOL. Now this year, the same people who lied about Gervonta Davis versus Abner Mares, they're saying he's fighting Subriel Matias, Pitbull Cruz, Frank Martin, this guy, that guy, instead of just waiting for Tank to announce it himself. Hashtag dumb, hashtag ego. And I meant every word. Boxing is in a drought, a dry spell, if you will. And I tell you all the time, PBC is leading the boxing industry because you notice this drought, they have no fights. PBC has no official fights. And now it has seemingly hit the boxing world very hard. And it's like people don't know what to do with themselves. So what do we get? A lot of degenerate behavior. You got a bunch of clickbait. You got a bunch of false posts. You got a lot of people speculating and twiddling their thumbs, making up stuff. And it's just funny to me. You look at PBC and let old media tell it. They say PBC's doing everything wrong. They won't make the good matches. They say Tank Davis has ran from everybody. He's ducking this guy. He's ducking that guy. All of these things, but then they cannot go a day without uttering this man's name, Gervonta Davis, which further proves, at least to me, that Tank Davis, Abdul Wahid, is the face of boxing. There's no way on earth you can describe it. There's no way that someone would garner this much of attention. Like you got, for example, old media, let them tell it Tank's doing everything wrong. And they say, oh, it's about the best versus the best, ego. But then you have a fight with Alexander Usyk, who's a great fighter. Tyson Fury. This is the heavyweight division. Usyk has most of the belts after beating Anthony Joshua, and Tyson Fury has one of the belts, right? After beating Deontay Wilder. So this is a fight. People are like giving a lot of props to Saudi Arabia and their push to bring events to their region, right? And they say this is the best versus the best, and this is Saudi Arabia fights and events are saving boxing. But literally, Fury versus Usyk is less than a month, as of me recording this video, is less than a month away, and I've heard very little chatter. I've seen no build-up. I've seen no face-to-face. I've seen very few fans even talking about this. So again, the proof is in the pudding. They say Tank Davis ain't the face of boxing. You have an undisputed fight with there's only one Tyson Fury and Usyk for all the belts. They say, oh, ego, Tank has a fake belt. Oh, ego, Tank has a secondary belt. Even though right now his belt has been elevated, he's been elevated to the full champion. But this is what they say. They say Tank has a fake belt. He's an email champ. He's not the dude. He's not the face of boxing. But then they're speculating about who he's going to fight. They're making up rumors. There's no credible source that is actually affirming who Tank is fighting. And like I said, you got an undisputed heavyweight fight that old media says they love, but they're not even talking about their fight. Let me know if you guys have heard of Fury Usyk, a lot of fan chatter and views and viral videos that are talking about Tank Davis. But meanwhile, you look on the screen, Leonard Ellerby, who works with Tank Davis, he posted this. The tweet says Gervonta Tank Davis and Subriel Matias are in negotiations for a March 30th bout, which will take place at 140 pounds for the IBF super lightweight world title. This fight will headline PBC's first card on Amazon Prime. And you see what Leonard Ellerby had to say. He put, that's cap. So again, if what I'm saying is not true, then you explain it. You got an undisputed heavyweight fight less than a month away. People say Saudi Arabia's push for boxing, they're literally giving Saudi Arabia awards for event of the year for the Deontay Wilder AJ card, even though they weren't fighting each other. They gave it an award. Didn't even mention Ryan Garcia stepping up and fighting Gervonta Davis as a nominee for event of the year. But then all roads lead to Tank Davis. So this is what old media does. They don't want to give props to Tank Davis and say he has the event of the year. They'll say, we're not even going to put him as a nominee. But then they'll say Saudi Arabia is putting out the events of the year, and then they have an upcoming fight, and no one's even really talking about it. Fury versus Usyk. Plus, it'll be on a time, which is going to make it hard for it to really be prime time viewing in America. Beyond that, you got Tank Davis versus Ryan, and then you have the usual suspects, old media, the shapeshifters. They say all of the pay-per-views, because it did over 1 million buys, that's because of Ryan Garcia. Has nothing to do with Tank, allegedly. It's all because of Ryan Garcia. But Ryan Garcia fights Oscar Duarte is not on pay-per-view. Ryan Garcia just said that he was going to go after Devin Haney, didn't change his mind. Then Rolly just came out, and I'll put a card at the end of this video. Rolly came out and said that he's not fighting against Ryan Garcia because DAZN, Ryan Garcia, and Oscar De La Hoya, they're full of it. They wasted everybody's time, and the fight will not happen as a result. So I can't wait to see what Golden Boy does for Ryan's next fight, because it doesn't look like it's going to be Devin. Doesn't look like it's going to be Rolly. And even Pitbull, that's a PBC guy. Rolly just called him out, so he has possibly a better chance of landing that fight. So who is Ryan going to fight on pay-per-view if he's the guy with all the numbers? Now, before I continue and conclude this video, I got to take a moment to give you guys this message and the word from the sponsor of today's video. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TubeBuddy. I've used TubeBuddy for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TubeBuddy is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TubeBuddy and level up your channel faster. We working. And we're back. So like I said before, the video is about Gervonta Davis. Let him announce who he'll be fighting. The same people who have this clear disdain for Tank seem to make the most content about Tank Davis. And you guys as boxing fans have to be able to see this and read between the lines. I have 2 ears, 2 eyes, senses that were bestowed upon me at birth. You guys have the same senses, most of you. So use your brain, see what's going on, and then address the situation. And that's why, for me, I think boxing is in a corny spot, because when PBC, let's be real, and please print this, when PBC, they don't have any fights on the roster, it becomes like almost like a circus in boxing. And it shows you the impact that PBC has. Now, people are talking about all these fights in Saudi Arabia and saying they're saving boxing and all this type of stuff. But the reality is, whether you like those fights or not, the reality is they have a fight with Tyson Fury and Usyk. I don't even see people, that fight's in less than a month. I don't even see people talking about that fight. And this is the fight that old media claims that they wanted. This is the fight that old media claims that they need. And this fight is saving boxing and we want best versus the best. Okay, Tyson Fury has a belt. Usyk's the only other guy with belts. They both have wins over Wilders and the AJs of the world. And yet you don't have anyone talking about it. But then you have constant conversations, let's say on X, and they're make-believe conversations about who Tank Davis is fighting. Why are fans, if Tank ain't the face of boxing, why would fans be more concerned? They say, oh, Tank Davis, he got a fake belt ego, but Tank don't even have a real belt. So why are you talking less about the guy that you do not like, that you say has a fake belt or a secondary belt, even though he was elevated to the full champion? But that's neither here nor there. Why are you talking less about that than you're talking about an undisputed fight if you're a real boxing head and you really like what you say you like, and the best versus the best and all this other goofy stuff. So no matter what old media tries, they all are the same. They are shapeshifters. They know what the real is, and despite it, they go against the grain, but we know it's not true and it's cap. We know LeBron James and Madonna and Tory Lanez when he was free before he got sat down. We know these are the types of A-list celebrities and influential celebrities that are pulling up to Tank Davis's fights. And it's not just the Ryan Garcia fight, because last time I checked, LeBron James and a ton of NBA players went to the Pitbull Cruz fight, which was a late last minute replacement. So a lot of people, they're lying. They're saying like, oh, Ryan Garcia, he's the guy that sold all the pay-per-views. Then why was Ryan Garcia's last fight with Duarte not on pay-per-view? And then I made a video about it. Please check that. I'll put a card at the end of this video. Rolly came out and exposed De La Hoya, Ryan Garcia, and DAZN and said they are playing games and they're not really trying to fight. So at the end of the day, if what they're saying is true, then let's see who Ryan Garcia fights next, and let's see if it's on pay-per-view, especially if it's not going to be Rolly or another big name. They said it's not going to be Devin Haney. Ryan says that fight, he's going a different route. Rolly's saying the fight is canceled. So let's see who Ryan fights. Because if Tank Davis ain't that dude, despite him beating and knocking out Ryan Garcia, if Ryan was responsible for all the numbers, I cannot wait to see what Golden Boy does with Ryan's next fight, because two big options from Devin Haney to Rolly do not look like they're going to be happening next. So the only other name that I could think of that would be probably a big fight would be guys like Pitbull Cruz or Shakur Stevenson. And I don't really know how logistically realistic those fights are. And you got to couple it with the fact that Rolly called out Pitbull Cruz after announcing that the Ryan fight was kaput. So they're on the same side of the street, and that would be a title opportunity for Pitbull Cruz. So there's a likelihood that that fight might be easier to make than Ryan, who's with DAZN and a promoter he don't even like. Gervonta Davis is the face of boxing.